for our... Toss the coin. Looks like Cork have won it, pointing up the field here towards the town end. So that looks like they're going to play towards the town goal. What we can figure of that. Anyway, let's see how that works out. For a look at the team lineups, let's join our match commentator, Ger Canning.
Thank you very much indeed, Michael. Let's take a check on the teams then, starting with Cork. And the overwhelming favourites make one change from the team that beat Tipperary in this year's Munster final. Neil Ronan, a sub on that occasion, gets the nod ahead of utility player Cian O'Connor. It's only Ronan's 7th time to start a championship match. And even though he was out of the game for nearly 3 years, the team's most experienced campaigner continues to be Brian Corcoran. The full forward is set to start his 36th championship match. Limerick's new management team make 3 changes from the side that saw off the challenge of Dublin in the last of the qualifiers. Back in once again and recovered from injury are Stephen Lucy, picked at fullback, Ollie Moran in at right half-back, and Brian Geary at number 6. It means the team captain TJ Ryan is dispatched to the forwards, and there's yet another new midfield pairing. Today it's Barry Foley and Donny Ryan. Michael?
Ger, thank you very much indeed. Yeah, new midfield pairing there for Limerick. Of course, there's so much, not so much experimentation, I suppose, for Limerick, but just trying to get the gel right, I suppose, for this.
Donny Ryan has been in and out all year. Has been playing all year, wing forward, corner forward, midfield, and he runs all over the place. Barry Foley hasn't been on the team all year. He's one of the ones that the lads brought in, the new management team. And I suppose he would prefer midfield, but when you compare them to Tom Kenny and Jerry O'Connor, who are very experienced and 2 very strong athletes, like 1-to-1, they may not go on that well. But I expect midfield to be crowded. That Limerick might play 3 out there for a while just to get the rhythm going. If Limerick can, the longer they stay in the game and get a bit of confidence, the better for them. If Cork start on top of it and get a couple of scores up, they could free flow and they could be in real trouble.
Well, Sherlock, now we've been asking you to run the rule over this Cork team, and you've identified one particular area of the half forward line, the player in there that you're expecting something of today.
Well, yes, Michael, because any team, no matter how great, has an Achilles heel, no potential Achilles heel. Now, Niall McCarthy and Timmy have been playing in this half forward line for the last 4 years. Fantastic work rate, but not a good scoring rate. Very few scores come off that half forward line. Here we have Niall taking wild shots, often take the wrong options, and it must be very frustrating for Cork at time, because Timmy there is a fantastic athlete, but look at that ball, not accurate delivery. And again we'll see him here now. Look at this is just typical of what Timmy can do, and why so many spectators get frustrated with him. Look at that ball. I mean, it was more advantageous to tip than it was to Cork. Now, Niall Ronan is on today. Came on against Clare. I think he was the man who really turned against a game against Clare last year. Laid on a point for Joe Dean, scored a great point himself, took Brian Lohan out of position, came on against Tipperary, great point here, and then came on against Clare the last day. He's one player who's able to score. Now the big question about him, he has the physicality, he has the fitness, but has he the mentality? That is the big question about him, and that's why he has been on so far today.
Yeah.
Now he's getting his chance. It's up to him to prove that he's good enough to take that next step and become a regular on that half-forward line. And it's even more important now, because there are big questions that we're talking here about Ben O'Connor's fitness.
Yes.
Can Ben go out there anymore to the half-forward line, as he did last year in the All-Ireland, and bring that ball in? Now they need somebody else to carry it. Cian O'Connor didn't work the last day. Very important that Niall Ronan works today.
The Limerick team for you, Ger, or Cyril, and you've been looking at the defence of 1 or 2 players.
Yeah, and I like the defence. They're very physically strong. Now, this Ollie Moore is to me, he's a great leader, and he's as tough as nails. Good under the high ball, always there, lays off a lovely ball here, and the ball is steered out to TJ Ryan. Like, this guy isn't afraid of anything, like, and he got an injury, he's back from injury now, like, and he's a very good player. Doesn't do anything daft, maybe sometimes a bit wide, but like, he puts himself around and isn't afraid to attack. He's one of the few Limerick guys that throws caution to the wind. And, you know, you could play him centre back, wing backs, you know, centre forward even. Now, this is the old statesman here, Mark Foley. Very good on the breaking ball. Like, was played cornerback this with more of a wing back. Look at here, he gets across into this ball again, goes around, beats his man here for pace, goes left, right, both sides. Again, he's not afraid to sweep in behind. Now, my look look what he's gone from. He's gone 30 yards or 40 from his own corner, sweep right across, and clears a great ball. If they come into the game, like Foley and Ollie Moran, Limerick will be in the game. Here again now, he's against Cork down here. He drives forward. It's hard to hold. Once he gets the ball, he attacks straight away and takes a little score here, which is unusual. But like, once these 2 guys, if they can get on top from the half back line and drive forward, it'll be great for Limerick, because they need a half back line. Ger has pinpointed the Cork half forward line as more as being workers rather than scorers. Now, if Limerick can get on top of the half back line and drive from there, man and ball and all, it'll be a big plus for Limerick.
I've been
back in Cork. Like it'd be the biggest upset of the century if Limerick could come out here after upheaval all year and win. Now maybe they can, but I can't see them winning. But like even if they do well, they'll be happy enough if they can give a good game.
Sure.
Well, they have to start well. They have to be well in it at midfield at half time, and you just never know, you know, if they can really test Cork, because they're the one team. They're one of the teams that believe they can beat Cork. If this was anybody else, Kilkenny or somebody else, you'd say Kilkenny going to win.
Yeah.
I think they'll give it a massive lash today. But Cork have such composure. They've been able to weather out every storm so far, and I expect them to weather that storm again today.
Thank you.
You put down €10 to win one. 10-1 on favourites. Michael Duignan, would you take any of that?
No, I expect them to win, but I have a little bit more value on my money, Jared, than that, than taking those sort of prohibitive odds. But I suppose the bookies don't generally get it wrong, and you would have to fancy Cork. You know, they have been the best team in the country. Limerick have been under a cloud with their management going, but I think it's a little bit like Offaly in '98 with the Babs thing. You know, it's down to the players now. They've lots of good players. Huge day for them. Seamus Hickey and Mark Foley up the left side of the defence. Will they be able to hold Tim McCarthy and Ben O'Connor? That's where I think they may struggle, and around the middle of the field. But let's hope that Limerick play with all the passion that we're used to looking from them.
Okay, referee Eamon Morris has got the match underway, as you can see. And straight away it is Cork with John Gardner. The breeze, by the way, is a diagonal one this afternoon. It is to some extent favouring Limerick. It's a southeasterly breeze blowing across from their goalkeeper's position up towards top of the right.
Now, Jared, you have John Gardner. You just said TJ Ryan, after all his years with Limerick, you know, great corner forward in his early days, full back, and a huge full back for the last 5 years. It's a big ask for him at this stage of his career to play wing forward against probably the best wing back in the country, John Gardner.
Well, it's TJ's 40th championship match this afternoon as Donny Ryan in his 14th knocks it in, one-handed away there by Diarmuid O'Sullivan, out as far as O'Halpine, away quickly towards Brian Murphy. And Cork trying to get themselves into an attacking position here with Neil Ronan from Ballyhay. Useful shot from Ronan, and it draws the opening flag. Just over a minute gone. Neil Ronan puts Cork into the lead, starting his first championship match for 14 months. The last time it was here against Waterford, this time against Limerick. It gets the opening score, and Cork are off to a flyer.
Yeah, Jared, that's what he's there for. You know, as Jared Lucknan said before, great scoring forward, and just took his chance there when he got it.
Ronan Curran back there. Will have Limerick got the self-belief and the confidence to put up a really good challenge. Cork, the overwhelming favourites that we've mentioned, what is their demeanour going to be coming into this tie? Will there be an element of complacency involved, as we see Timmy McCarthy there having a little shouldering tussle with Mark Foley? Referee in quickly to stamp it out. Notebook is shown to Timmy McCarthy. Crowd today, by the way, expected to be around about 35,000. The officials were telling me they sold 30,000 in advance of this. Don't forget, it's Galway and Kilkenny to come at 6 o'clock, so they're not all in yet. And they expected to pick up about another 5,000 spectators who come in, as it were, without the tickets bought in advance. Pressure on the Cork defence, and straight away that's from Conor Fitzgerald, and it's put over the bar, and the equaliser. Very good return for Conor Fitzgerald, the Adair man.
Jaron, look, one of the bats I'm really looking forward to today is Brian Begley and Dermot. A bit of history there over the years, but since the start of the game there's been a nice bit of niggle inside between 2 or 3 of the Cork backs and the Cork forwards, and the referee's gone in there now. But Dermot O'Sullivan, you see pulling a big wild stroke there, better off just maybe to go up and tip the ball away, and a great score from Conor Fitzgerald.
The referee is coming out to have words now with TJ Ryan, calling the Limerick captain to himself, and then John Gardner being called. You come over as well, TJ.
TJ's calling him as well.
So what's the outcome? The referee completing the written work.
Yeah,
so it could be a yellow card per player here.
The big game for Eamon Morris as well, you know, from Dublin. Like, this will be a huge occasion for him, so he's going to lay down the law early, and he's dead right.
So that's a couple of yellow cards handed out. Just 3 minutes into the game there. Goodness me, that was pretty blatant.
Yeah. Really,
That's what they say about striking or attempting to strike.
well, Jared, that's under the rule of law, that's a sending off offence. And what did John Gardner do in that situation? He just got the belt and took it and got back up on his feet.
Well,
so he's really.
See.
Well, unless he obviously went back in and maybe give him a dig when he went back in, you wouldn't blame him for that.
Well, it's a yellow card per player. Let's hope they get on with the match now. Point apiece.
That's why TJ minded his square so well over the years.
Well, I think he's basically saying to his colleagues, we're not going to be bossed around here by the champions.
Yeah, it's all about hurling. If Cork get too physical and lose their discipline, they're in trouble.
Limerick trying to guard things at the back. It gets out as far as Barry Foley. Foley trying to get away from the attentions there. Neil Ronan comes back as far as Ollie Moran. Into the inside forward line to test once again the metal of the Cork full back line. Pat Mulcahy in some difficulty there. Conor Fitzgerald on the ground. It'll be a free from 20 metres in. Hard to see what happened there.
Well, no, Mulcahy was definitely holding when the ball was coming in the air. Obviously there's a tactic. It's a high ball into Begley is going to be the tactic, but Pat Mulcahy, that's one weak link in his play, Jerry. He's consistently fouling. He was sent off in the club final, and again, he just got the book there, maybe looking not to get a yellow card straight away again.
Well, he's had a mixed year so far. Triumph for Cork, of course, in Munster, but the team captain this year beaten in the club final. There you are again. That's what happened just moments earlier. And Pat Mulcahy and Diarmuid O'Sullivan and the rest well aware of the kind of aerial bombardment that Limerick are going to put in on top of them this afternoon.
Yeah, but Pat, two hands in the hurler again, just get under it. He has a fierce height advantage over Conor Fitzgerald, so a silly free really to give away.
A chance then for Andrew O'Shaughnessy to put over his first score in the game and put Limerick in front, which he duly does. From the free then, the young army man putting Limerick ahead. And that's a goal and 13 points in this year's championship for O'Shaughnessy. Interesting what kind of a game he plays, because if he's lurking there and Begley breaks it down, he's the kind of player who can pounce with great decisiveness. Straight down the centre it goes. Brian Corcoran, Hurley being held in there. Referee having words with Stephen Lucy.
Yeah, again, Jared, the point was making two hands in the hurl there, just get up and block the ball. You can't be just leaving the hand in across. It was a harmless free again and brings Cork right back into it again.
And it's Joe Dean who's stepping up to the mark to take it. Cork's leading scorer by some distance. This is just inside the 45-metre line. And that's straight over the bar. Gels for point. And it's 2 points apiece. Early stages, however. Very good free taker. Right between the posts, no mistake whatsoever.
And interesting to see Cork with a long puck out down the centre, looking for Brian Corcoran, using the wind, try to get the ball straight to him.
Ronan Curran rising up there, trying to take it a second time of asking. Comes to Tom Kenny instead. Midfielder there chased by Donny Ryan. Gets it into space in here towards Ben O'Connor. Trying to turn his man. He's the youngster, Seamus Hickey. It'll be a new assignment for Ben, who mishit that one. Straight to Barry Foley. Foley striking it long. It's Limerick's traditional way of hurling, putting the opposition under pressure. And Pat Mulcahy comes across, needs his colleague in the back line there, Brian Murphy. Helped out here by Sean O'Halpine, who loses the stick into the centre to Ronan Curran once again. Way down, but too long, misdirected beyond Joe Dean, and a line ball to Limerick. Well, it's a change of tactics, as the new management told us they were going to go back to the old style play, direct, long, immediate hurling, putting the pressure from the backs back into the forwards.
Yeah, and it's working okay so far, Ger, but you'd expect that Cork will come to grips with that. You can't really be that one-dimensional. You have to vary it a little bit. The odd low ball, high ball, and especially a bit of diagonal ball coming into the full forward, and to use Conor Fitzgerald and Andrew O'Shaughnessy.
That was mishit badly. Comes to Niall McCarthy. Donny Ryan had a chance to clear, didn't take it. The jersey was pulled. The jersey of Neil Ronan, free in. Mistake by Limerick from that line ball. And there you are, jersey hauled back there. And the guilty party is Barry Foley. 10 years ago he was scoring 4 points in the All-Ireland hurling final against Wexford. Wasn't quite enough, however, as Liam Griffin's team prevailed on the day.
That's really, You know, that's childish fouling, Gerard, at this level. You know, that's two of the softest frees you'll ever see given away, and you can't afford to do that against Cork. You have to make them work for every one of their scores.
It's about 10 metres further out this time for Joe Dean. Mishits it, drops it in, taken by the goalkeeper Brian Murray. It was from a mishit free, of course. A couple of years ago that Cork got a goal in Limerick against Limerick, scored by Ben O'Connor. This time, Cork have it on their half-back line, blocked down by TJ Ryan. Gardner under difficulty, under pressure. Mike O'Brien trying to fill in the problem role of centre-half forward for Limerick. Up as far as Brian Begley. He's come deep for this one. Sullivan's gone after him. Stick lost. Begley has it still. Trying to kick it out into the clear here. TJ Ryan having to forage, unable to keep it in play. Line ball. Limerick huffing and puffing, not quite finding any rhythm, however. This, the free a little while ago here, it dropped short, and that'll do Brian Murray's a lot of confidence in the goal. Did well.
Yeah, the forward line are working hard. The Limerick forwards, they're putting the Cork backs under a lot of pressure, but you know, it's hard to keep that up for the whole game, but they're working really hard at the moment.
Tom Kenny leaving it here for Jerry O'Connor, his midfield partner. He ran into Mike O'Brien, and the referee says that hit your chest and not your shoulder. Mike,
I didn't see
it differently.
Nothing wrong with that, Gerard. I noticed that even last weekend in the football. Fair shoulders are being penalised nearly all the time now as well. There's no physical element allowed nearly at all in the game.
I think, in fairness to the referee, he saw it from behind Mike O'Brien. He thought it was his chest. It was his shoulder. John Gardner to hit this one. 65 metres from his own end line. Breeze against Cork. That's a huge one. Dropping left. It's gone wide. Always good for a score or two, John Gardner. Today coming of age in a championship sense. It's his 21st match in the red of Cork.
Now, there's a lot better balance about the Limerick team, Gerard, today than we've seen earlier in the summer. You know, Niall Moore, Mike O'Brien, TJ, a little bit of balance there. Lads well used to playing in those positions, and you know, right throughout the team. Lucy back at full back.
That half forward line has got to get going though, because Ronan Curran and company are set to dominate otherwise. Ollie Moran takes it down, nurses it to himself, hand pass forward there to Donny Ryan. Nice little jink on his left hand side, beyond Begley, should be the goalkeeper's, is under pressure. Donald O'Cusack gets it away out as far as another row. Sean O'Halpine, first touch not good. Limerick crowd in on top of him. Line ball taken quickly to Niall Moran on his left hand side, putting it high and putting it over the bar. It's another for Limerick, and they're back in front again. Niall Moran the scorer from a mistake by Cork.
That's a great score, Gerard. Niall Moran looking for the quick ball. Now maybe it was moving there, it's supposed to be static, but still good quick thinking. And Niall Moran, a forward I would rate very, very highly, who hasn't been really involved under Joe McKenna era, but back now, number one on the Limerick team.
Yes, he was on the edges of things for the first 6 months of this year. That's Damien Rail sweeping it away down into the corner once again. Jimmy O'Sullivan comes across, helped over here. Murphy wearing the number 2, playing at left corner back. Ball gone wide. Interesting start to this game. Limerick settling into their task, happy enough with the opening 12 minutes. Donald O'Cusack, who can be absolutely precise where he places a ball normally. That's not bad, but it was Ben O'Connor who couldn't keep it in play. Tony Ryan spooning it away from a colleague straight away there. Don't know why he did that. Mark Foley prepared to take. Mark back out at left half back this afternoon, back on the ground where he experienced a very uncomfortable afternoon against Owen Kelly of Tipperary back in May. But then what's new, because Owen Kelly is one of the very best around. That's missed by Mark Foley. Not a good connection. Comes to TJ Ryan. We're looking for better standard hurling, not coming so far. Finally picked up here, Neil Ronan running into a cul-de-sac of green jerseys. Jersey pulled again, and that's the second time Neil Ronan's jersey's been hauled back, and it's the second time that Limerick have given away a silly foul for that particular reason.
Yeah, they're working really hard, and you know, they're putting Cork under an awful lot of pressure all over the field, but giving away those. Okay, Joe Dean missed the last free, but he's not going to miss too many of those, and it's really silly fouling. There was no danger on there at all.
Well, this is bang on the 45-metre line, so a bit nearer for Joe, who's looking for a second pointed free. This is third. That's accurate. That's over. So teams are level once again. It's Limerick 3, Cork 3. Well, the crowd, I think, have come here looking for the fireworks. Seeing an even match, but not the fireworks so far. Early stages. Puck out this time, over towards Niall Moran. And that has gone off Sean O'Halpine. Moran lashing out at O'Halpine, who's getting close in his marking. It's going to be a line ball anyway for Limerick. And it's going to be Barry Foley from Patrick Swell, who will step up to take this. Ready to let fly. Again, bad one. Straight to Jerry O'Connor. Down into the inside forward line. It's Hickey coming across. First touch not good. Leaves it there for Ben O'Connor. The defence could open up here for Ben O'Connor. Ben coming through. He had support player. Corcoran is available. Over his right shoulder. Mishit somewhat. Brian Corcoran chasing after it. Keeping it in play here. Timmy McCarthy an option. Brian making an angle for himself. That's a good shot and that's over. Brian Corcoran, the Erin's own player, getting his first point of the match. Well, he won his first ever Munster final medal in 1992 against Limerick. First of 5, and of course made his comeback 2 years ago against Limerick. Came on as a sub, scored that day. He's done the same here. 4-3.
Yeah, and that's a trademark score of Cork, now turning back out on his left side. He gets a lot of scores. But really, I think there was a goal on there if Ben O'Connor threw it into Brian maybe a little bit earlier.
This time the loose play, mopped up by Jerry O'Connor. Such an intelligent hurler. Always covering so much ground. Ronan Curran now, the centre half back, towards Ben O'Connor, trying to get there ahead of Hickey, was pushing, free in.
It's a wild stroke there, Jerry's a long way away from the ball.
So Seamus Hickey being spoken to by the referee. He's the youngster who has just completed his leaving cert at St. Flannan's College. So a big step up for him, made his championship debut, and he's got a yellow card here. Debut against Tipperary earlier in the summer. Played in a colleges final, of course, for St. Flannan's. They lost to the Dublin Colleges. That was in May. So it's been a very busy time for this 18-year-old.
Yeah, and he's a super young hurler, but he's to come out and mark Ben O'Connor in a huge game like this. And Ben looks to be moving an awful lot more freer than he was the last day. His hip injury obviously has improved.
Joe Dean. 50 metres out. It's got height, it's got direction, it's got accuracy. That's 3 out of 4 for Joe Dean, and Cork pulling away by 2 at this stage. 5 points to 3. Well, Limerick have got to learn the lesson from a very quick stage here. No more silly fouls like that. Again, the puck out, raining down on top of O'Halpine. Curran going there as well, Murphy, but it comes to Niall Moran back in the team. 3 Cork players going for the one ball. Barry Foley sweeping it across towards Donny Ryan, 45 metres out, looking for a loose player. He's got TJ Ryan here. There's a point on, and TJ has put it inside the left-hand post and over the bar. He's got a yellow card, he's got a point as well, and it's 5 points to 4.
Yeah, Jared, the hurling hasn't really taken off yet. There's a lot of mistakes, but a lot of nerves out there. But if Limerick can just keep their discipline, they're really in the game, but they're giving away too many stupid frees. But they're hurling very well with an awful lot of determination and passion apart from that.
Hickey did well initially, and Donny Ryan did even better to get it into the inside line. Towards a shot to see. Begley there as well, trying to keep it alive. Sean O'Halpine trying to feed it outside there towards Brian Murphy. In came Niall Moran. It comes back once again to the team captain, Pat Mulcahy. Down into the centre of the field. One-handed there taken by Jerry O'Connor. Keeping it low, intelligent ball in as far as Joe Dean, trying to get there ahead of Damien Rail. Dean looking for the support player, it's Niall McCarthy, 50 metres from the target. That's going away to the left. Doesn't score an awful lot these days. Looking for an improvement in form, trying to get back to the standard of 2004 in particular. That's the second wide of the match for Cork so far, who still lead by 5 points to 4. Mike O'Brien in there contesting. O'Halpine gets their good stroke down that time to Jerry O'Connor. Fed brilliantly into Dean again, taking off, going across, and the referee says too many steps. Referee called it up very quickly that time. There might even have been a foul by Damien Rail, who applauds the decision. That'll be interesting to see again. Did he take too many steps here once he caught that ball? Oh, he's in the stick.
Not there here now.
Maybe towards the very, very end.
Yeah, I think he did, but you know, maybe there was a little hint of a foul. But that's more worryingly, it's 2 balls in a row. He was way out ahead of Damien really for them.
Niall Moran trying to win his duel over there. Jerry O'Connor trying to link up with Sean O'Halpine. It comes instead to Andrew O'Shaughnessy, blocked down by Murphy. Comes across once again here. Again, it's the cornerback who takes it out here. Brian Murphy fed into the centre here. The flying Tom Kenny. People will still remember the point he got in the opening round of the championship against Clare. This is John Gardner. All alone initially anyway. Down to Niall McCarthy. Good touch that time. 2 Limerick players to him. Should be a free Cork player. Again, the referee calls him for steps, and he's furious this time as he felt there was a foul, and I think with a certain amount of justification.
He was definitely fouled the first time, Jared. Seamus Hickey came straight out over his back. That's definitely a free. And here now, 2 arms around him. That's another free. So you know, there's 2 fouls there in a row, and you can't blame McCarthy for getting frustrated with that.
Well, the Cork fans and the team will find that very hard to fathom. Linesman Ambrose Higney from Clare telling Mark Foley where to place the ball.
This is what drives players mad, Jerry. It's inconsistency like that. Next thing somebody's going to be pulled for a little tip or a slight hand on the back, where that was the blatant foul and no free.
No question about it. Mark Foley from inside his own 65-metre line. It hangs up in the air, going towards Niall Moran's wing. Begley was going across, and he's coming out off Diarmuid O'Sullivan. Probably much better off to stay in and around the square if they could play good ball into him. First of all, they got to win it, however. They win it here with Brian Geary. Back in towards Damien Rail. In there, Mike O'Brien contesting. Moran trying to get to it. In comes Sean O'Halpine. In there as well, Tom Kenny, and the referee will end all of this with a throw ball. Point between them, 20 minutes gone. Standard of hurling not particularly high, but it's very competitive.
And maybe it's the pattern, Jerry, we've seen with Cork so often. You know, teams seem to stay with them for the first 20-25 minutes, and they just creep away coming up to half time and just after half time. So Limerick will really want to stay on their guard now, because Cork are, you know, it's the initial Limerick burst now is over with, but they have to keep their shape and keep their discipline now up to half time.
Just a moment there while they were attending to Brian Begley. He's okay, back in once again. Tom Kenny ready to report for duty. Mike O'Brien is there as well in the green helmet. Comes out to Jerry O'Connor, swept away quick as you like, anticipating his brother Ben. And as he was running for that, you could see he was struggling, not moving as freely as he was in the opening minutes. Still concerned, I think, about the hip injury that may ultimately require corrective surgery. Mark Foley ready to hit this. Looking to pick his spot. Not quite sure was that the A1 position he was looking for. Ollie Moran trying to take it up. Jerry O'Connor waiting, cleverly taking it. Niall Moran, who's giving as good as he's getting, but this is Sean O'Halpine. Beautifully placed ball into the centre there, 2 defenders, and it's the youngster Seamus Hickey who took absolute care, responsibility for a dangerous situation. Good clearance up as far as Niall Moran. First time in towards O'Shaughnessy, trying to break it against Murphy on his hands and knees. He's got through, trying to get in there, trying to swing his stick. Good stop initially, and that ball has gone up and over the bar. Could have been a goal. Well stopped by Donald O'Cusack, but the credit will go to Andrew O'Shaughnessy, and that's his 2nd point. It was a really dangerous moment here. Did well, and a very good stop, instinctively over by Cork's goalkeeper. Well, that may have been Limerick's first score in 11 minutes, but it was an important one. And now Niall Moran, can it be cramped this early?
It looks like, but you wouldn't think so. But they are working really, really hard. The Limerick forwards are closing down the Cork backs and are putting them under an awful lot of pressure. The clearances coming from the Cork back line are very poor in general into the forward line.
And teams really, level for the 4th time.
Sorry, Gerard. And when Limerick defend with discipline, they're defending very comfortably. You know, Cork haven't put them under any pressure really from general play. It's just a stupid freeze really that are keeping Cork. So Cork really need to pick it up, because Limerick are going to gain in confidence as this game goes on.
The Cork supporters, by the way, have taken over the Killinen end. They're usually at the other end. They're about 50-50 at the other end with Limerick fans. There's a good atmosphere. More and more people have come in since the start of the match. bright afternoon as well. We had some mist, we had a few showers this morning. Pitch is in wonderful condition. No complaints, I think, by anybody on either team. John Allen with the team prepared meticulously as usual, in linking up there with some of his selectors up on the stand, trying to get a more panoramic view of what's going on. And a big occasion also, of course, for Richie Bennis and Gary Kirby, the new management team of Limerick, watching their team now under pressure from Joe Dean. Effortlessly striking it in, keeper rises, takes it down well, challenged in there. The referee says challenged unfairly, gives him the benefit of the doubt anyway. Free out to Limerick. Brian Murray doing really well here. Hard to believe he was taken off at half-time in the game against Clare in one of the most bizarre decisions of the season so far in Championship hurling. Ticking for Brian Corcoran for his part in that. Flies in there into the inside line. Barry Foley hooked by Tom Kenny, and Kenny sweeps it back, but only as far as Ollie Moran. Limerick on the attack, in towards Begley, beyond Sullivan. Pat Mulcahy on his hands, and the referee gives him the decision this time, held back by Conor Fitzgerald. And that's going to be a free out to Cork.
Yeah, it's a bit of a lottery in there. There's a lot of pulling and dragging, but Mulcahy did well to win possession there and definitely fouled on the way out.
He's trying to G up his colleagues to get even more into it. Level game after 25 minutes. Ben O'Connor trying to steal a march there. On Hickey, does well, gets his shot in and puts it over the bar. It's Ben's first score of the match, and everybody in the inside forward line now has contributed to the scores. One for Ben O'Connor, one for Brian Corcoran, three for Joe Dean, all of those of course coming from frees, and it's 6 points to 5.
Great first touch there by Ben O'Connor. I definitely think he's moving a lot freer today, but then we can be very happy, doing very well in the middle of the field as well there, where you would have expected Tom Kenny and Jerry O'Connor to be dominating at this stage.
This is Jerry. John Gardner. The style that you're familiar with. The clever hand pass to space. Tom Kenny taking it, breezing away from the challenges and putting it over the bar. Two players involved. Kenny with the final execution. And the point has been made, of course, that Cork's half-forward line don't score an awful lot, but their midfielders more than make up for it.
They do, John. I spoke too soon as usual, but you know, you can see the toll begin to take, or the work rate that Limerick forwards have put in is beginning to take its toll, and Gardner, Kern, Tom Kenny, they're coming into the game now as the half is wearing on.
That's taken again by Niall Moran. He's working well on the half-forward line, not always getting the reward for his work. And Jerry O'Connor again picking up the unmarked John Gardner. TJ Ryan well off him this time, down as far as the inside forward line to Brian Corcoran. Hand passing it forward to Ben O'Connor, getting there a yard ahead of Hickey, who got in a nice little deflection and goes back and shows very tidy work. This is a really good player for the future. Seamus Hickey with a great clearance, but the pressure could be well back onto him again unless Limerick can win ball in the middle of the park. O'Shaughnessy's gone way out there, leaving Conor Fitzgerald inside to help Brian Begley, held back there this time. The guilty party, Pat Mulcahy, has been ticked already. The referee just pointing in the direction of the Cork goal at the Killiney end. Free to Limerick and a chance to go just 1 point behind. Well, he's held back, same kind of jersey pulling that Limerick were guilty of earlier on. Yeah, but
you know, I'm saying it again, Pat Mulcahy, it's a feature of his game, and he's going to get himself in trouble because refs are looking out for him now. But credit to Seamus Hickey there. What Ben O'Connor threw on goal, 9 times out of 10 he'd have that buried, but a brilliant interception by Hickey for a young player, great maturity, and cleared up the field, and this point come off it now.
That's another for Andrew O'Shaughnessy. 2 from frees, 1 from play. The one that was helped over by Donald O'Cusack, 3 from 3, and it's 7 points to 6. Cork are leading. Plenty of sunshine now in the centre of County Tipperary. Look at that again, Seamus Hickey going across there, but the clearance not a good one. Back down it comes to Neil Ronan, he punches the air with delight. He knew it was on his way, and it's his second. Whenever there's any slight little mistake at the back, there's always a Cork player around, ready to pounce.
Brilliant catcher, but that's typical of, you know, lack of experience. A young player like that, at club level, he would have caught that and cleared it no problem, but there's always going to be somebody on your tail at county level. You have to be watching your back. A little hand pass out the field is much more effective.
The fellow who was on his tail that time was his marker, Ben O'Connor. Touchdown by Mike O'Brien. Pressure on Brian Murphy, spooned it out there as far as John Gardner, this time on his left-hand side. Work for Joe Dean to do to keep it in play. A collision of Limerick players. Joe without his hurley. Hand pass down as far as Niall McCarthy on his right side. It's a good side, and it's over. First for Niall McCarthy. So now 5 of the 6 forwards have scored.
Yeah, and credit to Niall McCarthy. Missed a similar chance a few minutes ago. You know, we had the confidence to have a go. And you see Joe Dean and Ben O'Connor, their last couple of plays, they worked so hard as well. Apart from being scorers in chief, Dean set up that score, Ben O'Connor hooped for the previous score. And that's the type of hard work the Cork forward line do all the time, unnoticed.
Donny Ryan won't want to see a gap open up here, but it's Tom Kenny who's trying to exploit a defensive gap forced out into the left-hand side. Trying to link up there with Brian Corcoran. Instead it's Stephen Lucy coming out, kicking it away. Used to play with the footballers. Out as far as Mike O'Brien, who's come deep for this one. 65 metres out from his own goal. All the way in towards Begley. And raining down on the Cork defence, but helping out there is Brian Murphy, playing like a sweeper behind the big two, Mulcahy and O'Sullivan. This time taken well by Brian Geary. Again, driving it back defiantly there. Ronan Curran up with the left hand. Cleverly down. Great skill, lovely hurling. Ollie Moran coming across here, he's injured himself, play continues. It's Neil Ronan having another one from distance, showing he's not just a fella you can bring on when the team is in a crisis. He can start matches, and he's now put over his 3rd point. 3 from 3 for Ronan, 10-6 to Cork. Cork causing major headaches for Limerick, who look to be in real difficulty.
Yeah, and Ollie Moran has been out of the game for a while, and you know, 3 points off, but he went in for that ball very awkwardly. I didn't quite see what happened there, but he was actually hanging in the air, and hopefully we'll have another look at it here now. You can just see he goes very early for the ball in the air, and it just got held up there. He definitely got clipped there by Neil Ronan. I think they were a long way away from the ball. I'd say it was accidental.
Meanwhile, on this near side of the field, little tussle breaking out here. Richie Bennis has got in, the Limerick manager, trying to drag Mike O'Brien across, having a word with him there. And the referee having to take firm control here now of this. Jerry O'Connor lost his boot. Watch it again here.
Yeah, no, Ollie just kind of stepped into that one there. Lucky maybe didn't get a worse injury. He just got a graze there, and he's back on his feet. He's okay.
Well, now that was the incident on the far side, but what went on here is something different again.
Yeah, they seem to be very angry with Jerry O'Connor, who's not a dirty player by any means. Mike O'Brien is infuriated with him, so we didn't see what happened there.
Well, Mike O'Brien and Tom Kenny with Jerry O'Connor there as well, and Richie Bennis came in to have some words. There you are, that's what was going on.
Yeah, Richie Bennis was in giving instructions there, and Jerry didn't take it. Here's Tom Kenny now again on the loose.
Meanwhile, back with the real game, it's Tom Kenny striking and putting it over the bar. Another for Tom Kenny, and the champions now playing like champions. As Michael Duignan was saying earlier on, well, opponents have given it to Cork as good as they can for about 15 minutes, and then a gap begins to appear, and that gap is now, as you can see, 5 points.
Yeah, particularly 5, 6, 8, 9. Sean Ogue is not as prominent, but the other 4 players have taken over completely, and you know, Cork are in danger of running away with this one.
Bit of pushing there this time. Referee indicting Jerry O'Connor. Free to Limerick. Now they need to put over whatever is going their way pretty quickly. Try and eat into that lead before half-time.
But I think teams make a mistake against the likes of Cork, Kilkenny, when they're going well, winning All-Irelands, trying to intimidate, you know, come over physical. You have to play physical hurling, but you have to play the ball. It's all about hurling, and you won't intimidate those teams. You don't win 2 All-Irelands and be going on for 3 in a row unless you're able to stand up to a little bit of hardship every now and again.
I think they call it disciplined aggression, don't they?
Disciplined aggression, yeah, but you need it, you know. Controlled aggression is what it's all about, but silly frees and wild strokes and getting involved on the sideline, that doesn't help anybody.
Well, now O'Shaughnessy has scored 3 points so far, and Andrew O'Shaughnessy looking for another, and he's just put it wide. Not too much in it, but he's disappointed. Well, that's one they could have done with, but it wasn't an easy free. It was quite close to the sideline. That's 2 wides now for Limerick. They need him to come good, and there's a second half still to come. Coming out there, Brian Corcoran, Ben O'Connor there as well. Stephen Lucy kicking it across to himself. The man who was on the 40 when he was here in the championship against Tipperary. Batted back that time. Pressure back on once again. Donald O'Cusack, who made one very good save at the expense of a point during this first half. Down beyond Jerry O'Connor. Taken up instead by the left half, Mark Foley. 2 minutes of added time to be played, we believe, at the end of the opening 35 minutes. There's a foul of Sean O'Halpine. This time the foul committed by Barry Foley. And Foley has been ticked already, so there could be another card on the way here for this. I think he gave him a second booking. It means he gave him 2 cards, black cards. It should have been a yellow card.
Barry Foley, you know, he's been out of the game for a long time and playing middle of the field against an athlete type Tom Kenny. He's struggling with the pace, but Cork are really just taking over now and playing some lovely hurling.
John Gardner striking it to the left and putting it wide.
And interesting to see Donal Logue as well, Jared, today. He's actually looking for the full forward line, to Brian Corcoran in particular, with his puckouts. Their half forward line are just running out the field to make space, and a long ball over the top, and it's working quite well as well today.
So Brian Murray now, as we are poised for those couple of extra minutes of stoppage time. Again, John Gardner coming across the line there, as he does so often. Starts out at right half and then moves across as a sweeper across the line. Ollie Moran, mishit. Back once again there by Tom Kenny. Trying to pick out Brian Corcoran this time. Line ball to Limerick. Well, Limerick looking for something just before the break here. Damien Rail.
Yeah, they've made a lot of changes now. They've Conor Fitzgerald, TJ Ryan and Donny Ryan in the half forward line. They have Barry Foley gone to corner forward, and they now have Niall Moran and Mike O'Brien in the middle of the field. So you have 6 changes already in their team. So I think that just sums up what's been happening in that area of the field for the last 5 minutes or so.
You know, you mentioned Mike O'Brien and Conor Fitzgerald going to midfield. That's now their 6th midfield partnership in 6 matches. In fact, in 5.5 matches. It shows you what difficulties they're having all over the place.
Yeah, and credit to the selectors. They're trying to make changes early. There's no point saying with 15 minutes to go we'll make a few changes. They're trying to remedy things, but really, you know, Cork are just, again, I just feel they're not at full pelt, but
they're playing
just
within themselves.
Playing well within themselves.
Richie Bennis will be remembered for that wonderful 70 scored in the 1973 Munster final. Nearby, here's Donny Ryan trying to go forward. Comes back out to Jerry O'Connor again. Low to Tom Kenny, turns smartly, got there ahead of Niall Moran. They might have been under pressure for a moment. Suddenly they're back on the attack again, and that breaks down with Brian Geary's intervention. Needing Damien Rail, leaves it behind to Corcoran. Hurley lost. Corcoran has his. An impossible angle, but it's well into stoppage time, and the referee may well decide to blow after this next puck out. There it is. Limerick gave as good as they were able to give for the first 15 minutes, and indeed were level 4 times, but then Cork with a procession of scores from 5 of their 6 forwards. Joe Dean with 3 from frees. John Allen will be happy enough with the way things are going. Cork are playing within themselves but doing enough, and they lead Limerick by 11 points to 6. We'll have analysis coming up in a moment, back here in Semple Stadium after the break.
Going through there, Mickey caught up with him, flicked the ball away with him. That would not happen to Ben O'Connor last year when he was at full fitness. So it is a slight worry to Cork that that Ben's pace is not as good, because it means that they will not be able to bring him out now and wing forward or out farther out the field when he was so effective last year.
There's the man in question there, just gone through your shot. We've got Sean O'Halpine there as well. Cork team back out onto the pitch, waiting for Limerick to join them right now. And well, I suppose the first... Look at this.
Another bit of an altercation.
I suspect a Limerick man who wants to make a point or two to some of the Cork players.
You know, this is becoming... Jay are going to have to do something about this. I know this guy probably has a few drinks and he shouldn't be there, but like, he's asking for trouble as well. Like, he'll upset players, and it's, you know, he shouldn't be allowed out there. Stuart shouldn't be allowed out there. But going back to Ben O'Connor, very nice player on the first half, Michael. He even took off his helmet. Now I know it's warm enough out there, but he's just not fully happy with himself, and his pace isn't what it was. Now maybe he'll come right. I expect if Cork are going to win this well, that as the game goes on the second half, they'll throw in 1 or 2 forwards and try a few more, and maybe even take off the likes of Ben O'Connor and give him a rest and get that leg right.
Yeah, and they have them. Well, there's a big cheer that you heard there a moment ago for a gentleman who has left the field now, having made his point to some of the Cork players. Yeah, of course, I mean, like, obviously Cork have options there, 1 or 2 of the fellas that they can bring sort of back onto the team again, if you like.
You see, the problem with Cork is that their forward options aren't great. They have the 2 Cian Murphys,
basically that's it.
Basically the 2 Cian Murphys, like, that Cian O'Connor, the cornerback, like, up there the last day in the Munster final, that didn't work out. So now they have the 2 Cian Murphys. Now, the taller the Cian Murphys, I don't know which one is from. I regard him as a taller. He got a great point after coming on. So obviously he's an option. But you know, it looks like Cork.
Let's see what happens, gentlemen. Ready to go for the second half then? Back to Ger and to Michael.
Yeah, you'll have seen Niall Geary, I think, maybe come in there. He's wearing number 32. Second half gets underway, and Limerick hoping to try and peg back the lead somewhat. That's going to be a free to Cork, but Limerick in the first half only created 8 scoring chances against 17 for Cork, and that tells its own story.
Absolutely, and Jerry O'Connor seems to have become public enemy number 1 with everyone from Limerick over a very minor spat before half-time. But, you know, fools like that coming onto the field is no place for them in hurling anyway.
John Gardner with his 3rd free, and that is fumbled there by Brian Murray. He gets a free out. Let's watch it again here, dropping in towards Brian Murphy's goal. Let it drop down. Lost his way.
Yeah, he was looking to get a free. Jared's an old one of mine as well, but an old Chestnut. But you know, goalie's been tackled on the way out. They're there to be tackled. The forwards are entitled to stop them on the way out, and he just dropped that ball out of his hand and got a lucky free.
I think it's in all sports, isn't it? Goalkeepers get protected. Niall Moran, let's fly. Diarmuid O'Sullivan had a good first half. We saw very little of Brian Begley. Comes out to John Gardner. Out here once again towards Ronan Curran. Limerick for whom? Donald O'Grady has come into the half-forward line. Pressure on here with Ben O'Connor. Ben shortening the grip on the stick and putting it over the bar, and Cork at the first point of the second half. And it's Ben O'Connor who's got 2 points from 2 shots on the target, just like old times for Ben. And it's 12 points to 6.
Yeah, and Jared just commented in the first half. I think Ben is moving better than he moved the last. I still don't think he's moving flat out. I think the goal chance in the first half, he was a bit casual. I still think he should have scored it.
Pressure once again here, and inevitably it's John Gardner who comes across, plays right half, almost plays like a centre half as well. Clearance not the best that time. Mark Foley takes it down, but in there quickly Ben O'Connor again. Forward there towards Timmy McCarthy. Haven't seen an awful lot of him this afternoon so far. And it's a line ball against his team. He disputes the call, might well have justice on his side. Watch it again here. It was the Limerick man who touched it last. Line ball, however, to the Shannonsiders, to Mark Foley. Little turn there by Niall Moran, now playing around the middle of the field. That is Donald O'Grady, but that's going to be a free against Limerick. Need to be concerned. It's Brian Geary who was caught that time. Referee going to have words with him for that. And the wearing number 32, he gets a black card. That's a warning. So all going according to plan for Cork so far against a Limerick team who've been beaten twice in the championship so far, and that's the nature of the modern day championship with the qualifiers, etc. Limerick still have a chance, but not if Cork keep on putting over the scores. Ben O'Connor dropping it short this time. Brian Murray once again aware that he might have been hooked by Joe Dean. Out into the centre, Mark Foley coming after it. Wants to rekindle interest in the match from Limerick's point of view. Only 6 points so far. Blocked down again, that time by Neil Ronan. Comes out to Donald O'Grady. O'Grady playing in his 13th championship match, winning the free. This was Neil Ronan coming in very courageously. Good block down on Foley moments earlier. And now, man who was one of the stars when Limerick beat Cork back in 1996 at Porky Queeve. Batted out by O'Sullivan once again, comes straight to Niall Moran, going way out to make an angle for himself. Well, he made the angle, but can't. Yes, he can finish it. It's over the bar, and it's a second for Niall Moran. Doing well wherever he plays, half forward or midfield, and that's 12 points to 7. He's had 2 shots, he's got 2 scores. Well, I think as Gerlach Down and Cyril Farrell were saying, Limerick really need a goal. Referee about to make his long journey down towards...
Don't tell me we have a dispute about the slitter again today. Babs pointed it out the last days.
What is it about that slitter? Is it just too lively? Or is it a hole in the net? Maybe yes. The netting isn't connected to what people call the woodwork, but there hasn't been woodwork in a goal for donkey's years. Metal structures. There you go. Not just a good goalkeeper, but a craftsman as well.
I wouldn't think he's any plans on the ball being in it anyway today, so...
This man is multi-skilled. So after that little delay... Oh, it's more than just one hole in the net. Full repair job required to get the alignment going again. They're all happy. But the net is intact at least. About a minute's delay. No long puck-outs they were noticing in the panel at half-time. How about that one? When it suits, Ronan Curran. All the way up towards Ben O'Connor. Back there is Stephen Lucy. His team now 5 points behind. They have a chance if they can get into the game and unsettle Cork's composure. This line ball will be taken by Tom Kenny, playing in his 20th championship match today. Richie Bennis looking on. And that has gone all the way through to his left half back, Mark Foley from Adair. It's a huge clearance down towards Begley, and one-handed out again by the rock, Diarmuid O'Sullivan. Back in by Conor Fitzgerald. Drops short, and Donal O'Cusack takes it with care and accurately places it out as far as Shonago Halpine. Momentarily unmarked, he gives him a chance to get it in towards Dean, bounces off rail, comes straight there towards Niall McCarthy. He's got a point so far. Ball runs loose to Joe Dean once again, stepping out of trouble. Back towards Jerry O'Connor, has yet to score, and that one has gone over the bar. Cork's midfielders between them have got 3 points out of that tally of 13 so far, and it's back to a 6-point game.
Yeah, Jerry, super footwork there by Joe Dean, and great score by Jerry O'Connor. But you really think Limerick have to got a plan B? You know, the high ball is not working. Diarmuid O'Sullivan has really, he's dominated the square. That's his job. He's got under every high ball. They need to start playing a little bit low ball into Andrew O'Shaughnessy in particular.
Yeah, you're spot on. Andrew O'Shaughnessy, the quality of the ball going into him has been very erratic. Here he is now putting in a challenge, a despairing challenge on Ronan Curran. That time some holding. Stick was being held, and the referee has spotted it. There it is again. Niall McCarthy there, and the arm held by McCarthy, the arm of Brian Geary. So now McCarthy with a black card or a ticking. Ollie Moran taking the free, and again a wasted opportunity. A big long free gone to nothing. Nothing that Barry Foley, who's now playing top of the left, could do about that to keep it in play. Ollie Moran's one of those players. He came along the season after Limerick had lost the 1996 final and they'd lost the 1994 final, and I think the county was on a bit of a downer at that stage, from which they have struggled to recover. There's got to be another change, and Pat Tobin from Maru Boher is coming in, and it is Brian Begley who's going off. That's a big call now by Richie Bennis, taking off the big, tall, full forward, who in this year's championship had scored 3 goals and 8 points, but a disappointing afternoon for Begley. Tobin is a smaller player, crafty in and around the goal area. That might be part of the plan B. Ollie Moran holds on to this one. Again, he's been held back, this time by Neil Ronan.
Yeah,
free to Limerick.
Jerry, it's up to the players out the field now. You know, they have to realise the small men inside, so there's no point hitting in high balls. Like Ollie was trying there, that's gone out of play. But you know, have they got the hurling brains out the field now, just to play a lower ball in, and you know, sacrifice these big, huge high balls that are going aimlessly into Diarmuid O'Sullivan. He'll gobble them up all day in there.
Barry Foley has now gone full forward. There he is, putting in a chase there against Donald Cusack. Ball runs loose. Is there a chance? Niall Moran tried to take it up, tried to take it out is Ronan Curran, and the referee in again, and this time whistles against a furious centre-half back for Cork, and it hots up again, and TJ Ryan's in there, and there's a notebook shown to Ronan Curran, and now John Gardner's in there as well to protest.
Sure, we have to see it again, but I think the ref has got that completely wrong. John Gardner won possession there. There's a 50-50 tussle at best.
Niall Moran was dragging back the defender.
You watch it here, it flicked up here. I thought that Curran came in and took possession of the ball here. He was going away with the ball. Niall Moran held him, and the free in is given. That's two incidents gone completely against Cork. But that one really a throw in maybe there. It looked 50-50, but I think actually Curran had got control of the ball.
That's why John Gardner was so furious. Likewise Ronan Curran, who got the ticking. Andrew O'Shaughnessy to take this. 3 points so far. Needs to be precise, and he puts it over the bar from the angled shot. So they are back to within 5 of Cork once again.
They need to get back down where Cork are very good at now, Gerard, getting the next score when there's a score against them. But if Limerick can build on that and get another score or two and try to get back into the game.
Cork are one of the most professional group of amateurs I've ever come across. They are very single-minded, very determined. They're out there to win matches, and that's what they're doing. And that's Joe Dean, and that's just gone to the right. That's 5 wides now for Cork.
Jerry O'Connor was loose inside there. You can just see him there, top of the picture. There was nobody within 20 yards. I thought Joe might flick it in over the top, Joe, but you know, a rare wide, I suppose, by Joe.
So Brian Murray, whose dad, of course, refereed 2 All-Ireland finals. Terence from Patrickswell. Huge one down. Beyond TJ Ryan is on the 40 at this stage, but not getting the better of Ronan Curran. Back in once again. Damien Rail coming across. Took it sweetly that time. And he's just in a tangle of legs there. The referee, I think, was trying to allow an advantage. Didn't come to anything. Cork in, pressurising immediately. Comes back once more. Timmy McCarthy trying to feed it ahead there. Ben O'Connor's there too. So too Jerry O'Connor. The little hand pass into the clear where Brian Corcoran's coming in at an angle where he scored against Tip, and he nearly scores against Limerick. Just skims across the face of goal. Very dangerous moment once again for the Shannon Siders here. And still we await the opening goal of the game. Well, he's a handful.
He is, Jared. Good pick-up and just outside the post. I think Limerick would have been fairly annoyed. It was definitely a foul on Damien Reel on the way out that time.
They try to work it out from the half-back line. Limerick try to pressurise. TJ Ryan going across the cover. There was Brian Murphy coming out, the captain, Pat Mulcahy. Out to John Gardner. Fed ahead there towards Tom Kenny. Kenny tried to dodge around Mark Foley. Fouled. Not allowed an advantage. Free to Cork. And the notebook shown this time to Mark Foley. This was a darting, sniping run out of defence here. Tom Kenny, I think, felt he might have been left away. Well, he wasn't really going to get any advantage from that, was he? Jerry O'Connor ready to hit it from right in the centre of the field. Diagonal breeze in his favour, if you can ever have a diagonal breeze favouring you, but it's behind you, and he's put it away to the left.
No, Cork aren't really firing on all cylinders again now. They're just going through the motions. If Limerick could get a goal, you know, they could really rattle them, but they need a goal. The game has gone very dead now.
I think on the Richter scale it's down about 1 or 2. Mike O'Brien trying to excite the crowd from Limerick, trying to get something here, and he's put it over the bar. First for Mike O'Brien. Good score.
Yeah, he's a great wholehearted player, Jerry. You know, took the ball, not the most maybe stylish, but he took it straight down the middle when they needed a score, and a great score now for Limerick, and he's trying to urge on the crowd here as well now off the ball.
Well, he made his debut against Cork 6 years ago, and he's now put just 4 between them. And you never can tell, as Donal O'Grady, broken stick over there. O'Grady will need a replacement. Cork with the line ball.
Donald O'Grady is right. He's not going to move. He's going to hold his ground until he gets his hurl back in his hand.
Line ball to be taken by Tom Kenny from Granagh. Low inside towards Neil Ronan, runs on towards Brian Corcoran. It runs on even better to Niall McCarthy, to Joe Dean, and Joe Dean takes his point. First from play for Joe Dean, fourth for the game. Dean, who's having an excellent season so far, playing today in his 34th championship match.
Quick puck out there, TJ Ryan on the ball now. Great chance, and gone wide again. A bad wide, Ger, again. Like Limerick have had a few chances here in the second half. Really have hit 3 or 4 bad wides.
Well, TJ and Joe Dean will remember the meeting back in 1996 when Limerick trounced Cork that day, but Cork made a recovery, won the All-Ireland 3 years later. Timmy McCarthy feeding it inside to the 2-man inside forward line, runs beyond Ben O'Connor this time, and Murray comes out. Good clearance down towards TJ Ryan, trying to break it to a support player. That support player is Donald O'Grady. Into space, but there's nobody there at all, and it's Pat Mulcahy instead. As the rain falls down here, varying weather conditions this afternoon. O'Grady once again. Inside towards Barry Foley, now in there on the inside forward line. Over his left shoulder, misdirected. They do well to keep it in play through Conor Fitzgerald, but then it's Sean O'Halpine, who was reading the danger signals, ever vigilant, gets it away smartly to Niall McCarthy. Hand passing it back to Tom Kenny. Blocked initially, one back once more. Jerry O'Connor now in the lashing rain. Fouled, free to Cork, and it's tempestuous and it's foul-ridden on occasions. Mike O'Brien called across this time after this leg trip here on Jerry O'Connor, and after that TJ Ryan was in just to make sure he was certainly going to stay down. There's the lashing rain, and the yellow card there is shown to Mike O'Brien.
And TJ followed through a little bit of nasty. He's already on the yellow card, so you want to be careful. The rain really pelting down now. Gerard's going to make conditions very, very difficult.
It's Ben O'Connor who's taken over from his brother Jerry, twin brother, with the free from the centre of the park. Has Ben any more luck? He has.
That's a super strike, Jerry. 80 yards, you know, with very heavy rain coming down. Super score from Ben O'Connor.
So 15 points to 9. Cork, the leaders, looking for the first of the semi-final places. All of that to be resolved over this weekend. Another quarter-final coming up, of course. An eagerly awaited rematch of Kilkenny and Galway, who really performed brilliantly in Croke Park in the semi-final last year. We're hoping for more of that this afternoon, and Sean O'Halpine taking a moment just to dry the handle of the hurley. 2 more quarterfinals tomorrow, of course, live on the Sunday game in the afternoon. Clare Wexford, and then of course Tipperary against Waterford. Draw after all that to determine who plays whom in the semi-finals. That's Pat Tobin, and he has put it over the bar. A much needed score from the substitute, his first since coming on. As the rain teems down here, well, he keeps the interest alive for the Limerick fans, but they are still 5 points adrift. Another quarter of the game still to go.
They're staying in it though, Jerry. You know, 5 points in hurling is not very much. If they can, you know, if they can get a goal, they're really, really back into this game. And they're battling away hard right over throughout the field.
That's Mark Foley. As long as it's tight and competitive, they'll really go for it. Ronan Curran once again. And that's over the sideline in spite of the best efforts over there of Niall McCarthy.
The Cork are playing a lot of these short 20-30 yard passes, and these conditions, they're very hard. The ground is very, very hard out there, and you get a dropper in on top of that, the ball is going to slide off the ground. So I think Cork, plan A, straight into Brian Corcoran every time, should be their plan from now on.
That's hit by Niall Moran. Mike O'Brien trying to make life hard, but it's Jerry O'Connor once again who
beautiful pick up there,
breaks free once again from the shackles. Back to John Gardner. It comes loose. Conor Fitzgerald some 45 metres out, and he's put it over the bar. Is the game turning late on? It's 15 points to 11. Cork have dominated, but Limerick have been plucky. And Cork not playing as well as they can have allowed Limerick back in to within 4 points.
Yeah, but they've battled hard throughout. They are working really hard. Conor Fitzgerald is a super hurler that we don't see much of because playing football there for a couple of years, but a really good hurler. When he gets possession, he's very, very dangerous.
Damien Rail now, once again trying to pick out a colleague. He's picked out Barry Foley. Back it comes once again to Niall Moran, going for it from distance. Limerick will be confident at this stage. In towards O'Shaughnessy, in there as well. Diarmuid O'Sullivan comes back once again to O'Shaughnessy. Andrew going out a little bit to make an angle for himself. It was intended there for TJ Ryan. 3 Cork men alongside him, right in along towards the end line. Held, referee in the end decides to whistle against TJ Ryan for falling down on the ball and not attempting to play it. Shake of the hand. Free out at the end of all of this.
Yeah, he looked for a free, Jerry played for a free and then he lay on the ball, and actually that is technically a free, even though most referees don't give it. They give it throw in 99 times out of 100, so good call there by Eamon Morris.
Donal O'Cusack taking this free for a Limerick, against a Limerick side who certainly have improved, with Mark Foley down once again towards Andrew O'Shaughnessy, away from Diarmuid O'Sullivan, comes to Mulcahy. Limerick with as many chances created in the minutes of the second half as they did in the entire first half, as that ball ricochets high, lands over the bar. Pat Tobin again, I think it is, or is it TJ Ryan? It's Tobin. That's his second.
Yeah, but I think it was a great block down by O'Shaughnessy. No, a great hook there by Barry Foley. And the ball broke out to Tobin, a bit of luck, but still a great score. And the Limerick crowd are really getting behind their team right back in this game.
3 points the margin. Champions now being put to the pin of their collar against Limerick, who have got renewed heart, and Seamus Hickey takes it out here. Trying to go by Gardner. Hickey again, meandering this way and that, looking for a support player. That player is Niall Moran. He's scored 2 so far. He's got a third. Is the shock of the year on? It's 15-13. The 10-1 outsiders are right back in the hunt after 56 minutes.
Yeah, Jaron, this can happen to you. If you go out in the field, you're not fully tuned in and you're just going through the motions, and a team comes at you, it's very, very hard to lift your game right in the middle of it. So really, this is a huge test now for Cork. And what a run down the field there by young Seamus Hickey. He was under a little bit of pressure from Ben O'Connor in the first 15 minutes, but since then, he's been outstanding in the corner. A brilliant run down the field to lift the whole team.
That's 4 unanswered points by Limerick. Cork haven't made any changes so far, but there could be one coming up. Cian O'Connor is being prepared. Brian Murphy was the injured player receiving the attention. The fans are enjoying the afternoon. Even the rain is easing a little bit now. Not as nasty as it was 10 minutes ago. And Richie Bennis, is he to engineer a victory against the old enemy from Cork?
Yeah, Jaron, huge credit I think has to go to Mike O'Brien and Donal O'Grady in the middle of the field. They really have stifled Jerry O'Connor and Tom Kenny in the second half, and they're working really, really hard.
It's Limerick with this line ball. "13 minutes to play. Ollie Moran ready to hit this, taking maximum care. Fed in beyond Pateau. Diarmuid O'Sullivan. The champions having a right scare at this point in the game. Back here once again, Donal O'Grady excelling in the second half since his introduction. Niall Moran turning around, going this way and that. Sean O'Halpin's in pursuit. It's still Niall Moran. Slightly off balance on the 45-metre line. That's unbelievable! That's over the bar, and Moran has cracked over his fourth, and it's 15-14, and Limerick fans are in dreamland.
Yeah, Jaron, Sean O'Halpin has been switched over onto Niall Moran now. Like, he got a couple of points off Gardner, now he's another score there off Sean O. What a second half he's having.
That's 4 points from 4 shots. You can't do any better than that. He'd looked the most prominent of the Limerick attackers in the first half, and he's really come good during the second half so far, and we've played 24 minutes.
Yeah, and Pat Tobin has made a big difference in there, Jerry. Maybe been critical of him in the past sometimes, but really come in there and got knuckled down, got 2 good scores.
What's the Cork response going to be on the field and on the line? This is what happened moments ago. That's Neil Ronan engineering the free, and now every free for Cork becomes more important than ever before. Brian Murray appreciating that, trying to lift his fellow defenders once again. It's going to be Joe Dean to take it. Just over the 10 minutes to go.
Jeremy, look down the Cork subs. Look, there's not a lot there that you think is going to come on and really steady the ship. Neil Ronan has been in from the start. A great free there. No, wide ball by Joe Dean, but Cork don't really look to have that many options on the bench, and really they're going to have to rely on the leaders on the field now to come through if they're going to pull out of this one. But Limerick really, they'll never get another chance like this. They want to drive it home now in the last 10 minutes.
That's wide by Joe Dean, and it remains 15-14. Well, I suppose the Kieran Murphys might be considered on the sideline right now. There's the beginning of some action from Cork. Maybe they're going to make some changes. They're running just ahead here. Diarmuid O'Sullivan out as far as Brian Murphy. They played very conservatively for so much of the game, and this time the referee whistles against Brian Geary. He looks across at the linesman, but it's a free to Cork.
I have to watch this again. I definitely didn't see a free there. Absolute, that's a very, very soft free, I think, called there by Emma. It's like both of them, all eyes on the ball, and they were just tussling for it.
It certainly seemed to be the case, but Ben O'Connor is coming up to take it. Kieran Murphy from Sarsfield is about to come in for Timmy McCarthy. That's going to be the change, I understand. Ben O'Connor with the free. 3 points so far. This from 50 metres out. Looks to be going right, and it's gone well away off target. Some missed opportunities now. 9 wides in all by Cork. They're still clinging on by their fingernails.
That's only justice though, Jerry. That would have been really cruel if that score decided the game, because it was definitely not a free.
O'Halpine gets it out. Timmy McCarthy still on the field. Change hasn't been made yet. That's a foul. Free to Cork. Referees had words there with Donald O'Grady for that. So Ben O'Connor has come out onto his own 65-metre line. On this side of the field, I can see John Allen preparing to introduce his substitute. It's going to be Kieran Murphy, as I say, from Sarsfields, coming into play in his 15th championship match, and he replaces Timmy McCarthy. Well, this has turned out to be a thrilling second half. Ben O'Connor, 1 out of 3 from frees so far. This is only 65 metres out from his own goal. He lets fly. It's over the bar. How valuable will that be before the finish? 2 between them, but now Cork will realise that that 2-point lead is tenuous, and if Limerick get in for a goal, they'll be even in more serious trouble yet.
It's a huge score though. Ben O'Connor showing his worth to this Cork team again. You know, without him they'd be in trouble. It was a super score from a huge distance.
And they're first in 12 minutes, Michael. John Gardner out once again. That's towards Kieran Murphy, and the first chance lost there to Mark Foley. Dropped in there once again. A goal. Impossible angle. He's just put it wide. He's arguing. He felt it was over. That's a 5th wide for Limerick. But they have bucked up so much. The substitutions have changed. As our panel were saying at half-time, they were playing for their place in the championship. They had to give it one mighty go. They've done that. They've asked questions of the champions. We'll ask other people to provide analysis later on. The champions are coming again with Brian Corcoran. 13 metres out. Trying to let fly. He's stopped, and it's a penalty. A penalty to Cork. A foul there as Damien Real was coming across. Protest to the referee from Dublin, Eamon Morris. But it's going to be a penalty.
I think there was a foul beforehand, but I don't think there was actually a foul. Here now, this was a foul here by Real. He tried to pull him down. But actually after, when he blew the whistle, there was no foul. He'd lost control of the ball at that stage. There was a foul earlier, but definitely not when the penalty was given.
Well, the referee has given the penalty. The goalkeeper, I think, the one as well. who definitely committed the foul. Brian Murray out in the middle of the park. Some jostling. Tensions running high. There's going to be a penalty after all of this. With 6 minutes remaining, there was that net fixturing job to be done as well, and Diarmuid O'Sullivan's coming up to take the penalty. In the past, he has missed penalties. He scored 3 points.
This is absolutely crazy. Carry on,
you're right.
Off the ball. Sullivan was going up the field, and Donald Gray decided to pull the hurl out of his hand for whatever reason, or maybe he was bringing a ball with him. I'd imagine that was. I'm only guessing here now, but I'd say that's what the controversy is over.
Donald O'Grady could be in trouble for that. Diarmuid O'Sullivan on his way up to take the penalty. Going in there to check on his well-being, the physio.
Yeah, but
this is very dramatic. They're still trying to prevent him going forward to take the penalty. That time it's Brian Geary.
But this has marred Limerick hurling over the last couple of years, Jerry, in my opinion. To go on with too much of this nonsense, trying to be macho men.
He's been ticked already, so he's got to get a card for that. Came out and hit Diarmuid O'Sullivan there.
Yeah, but if Limerick want to, win All Irelands, they have to cut that out of their play. They have to discipline themselves. They're going on with too much of that stuff, off the ball sort of machoism. Now O'Sullivan's gone back up the field. So Joe Dean is going to tap it over the bar, is he?
He is certainly going to take it. Well, if that was the plan A, that Diarmuid O'Sullivan would have to go for a goal, that's been abandoned. He's gone back.
Yeah, but there's the ball after being thrown out. That's what O'Sullivan was heading up with one of the All-Star balls to take the penalty. That's what all the controversy was over again.
Joe Dean, happy to put it over for his 5th point.
And you can't blame Babs Keating the last day, Limerick today. If Cork are breaking the rules and using the wrong sliotar, that can't be tolerated either. O'Grady was looking for the sliotar there. Sullivan had a sliotar in his hand, and one of the backroom team came in and took it off, and then after the thing developed.
More changes. Barry Foley is being replaced by Mark Keane at a stage in the game where there are 3 points between them. So Mark Keane is in for his 11th championship experience. Barry Foley off. So now, will Cork hold on to win? Is there a further sting in the tail here? Do Limerick possess another opportunity, maybe a goal-scoring opportunity? They've won a free through Mike O'Brien.
He's been huge in the second half, Jerry. He's taken completely out-hurled Tom Kenny in this second half, which is no mean feat.
Well, they'll be much, much happier with the second half performance. Shows the potential that is there. But some of the stuff that's gone on would want to be addressed.
Yeah, there's too much messing, but crazy stuff, Jerry, and all that sort of off-the-ball thing. And if Limerick concentrate on the hurling, there's plenty of hurlers put their mind completely into that. And like, if you watch the second half, they haven't given away as many silly frees either. And it's made a big difference to their performance.
That's a 5th for Andrew Shaughnessy, and we're back to 17 points to 15, and it's still there to be won and to be lost. The champions having major problems against Limerick, the rank outsiders. Geary going up for this one, taking it down brilliantly. Under pressure from Joe Dean. That was a great catch, but good pressure play by Dean, showing the defensive nature of his game. Really good play here. What a good catch. Line ball to Cork. Well, it's frantic up and down the line, as you can imagine, and frantic out in the park. John Allen trying to see his team through to another All-Ireland semi-final. Last year's quarter-final victory was against Waterford, and that was tight and tense as well. Goes with the territory, I guess. There was an official in there to give a fresh hurley to one of the Limerick players. Now, Ben O'Connor ready to hit this from the sideline. Will he try and put it over, as he's done many times in the past? He's going for it, but it's lobbed in instead, and it drops down there well to Ollie Moran, out as far as Seamus Hickey, and Hickey turns defence into attack, or attempts to do so. Mike O'Brien now trying to win the tussle in there with Ben O'Connor. Niall Moran there as well. Moran's on the ground. Referee says he was fouled. Free to Limerick. Chance for them to lob it into the Cork parallelogram and hope for the best. And there's a yellow card for Ben O'Connor. So now that's 2 yellow cards for Cork, and it's a total of 4 yellow cards for Limerick. Last minute of the game, the amount of stoppage time will be interesting. Mark Foley lobbing it in, going for the score, and he's put it over. The margin's 17-16. Huge point by Mark Foley. 3 minutes of added time to be played.
A huge performance by Limerick during the second half, and Mark Foley, how many years is he on the Limerick team now? He's already seen off Timmy McCarthy, and what a game he's having there for Limerick today.
Debut back in 1995. Here's Ben O'Connor. Good block down. Stephen Lucy still under pressure from Ben O'Connor. Second time of asking. That comes down off the post to Neil Ronan. Dragged around by Geary. Allowed to continue. It's Brian Corcoran. Chased there by Stephen Lucy. Over his shoulder. He's put it wide. We're into lost time.
And Lucy has done very well back at full back today for his first game there of this year's championship. And Limerick really, they'll feel they deserve a draw at least now at this stage.
They certainly will feel that. Will they get it? Brian Murray in the first minute of extra time. That's taken by Ronan, and it's out now to Sean O'Halpine. Very dramatic finale here. Ben O'Connor, whose team were ahead 11-6 at half-time, and he's put it over the bar, and that's Ben's 5th point. Is that now finally enough to see off the challenge of Limerick? Fans on their feet. 18-16. Still over 2 minutes to play. Brian Murray. If Limerick get a goal, they can win the tie. Still it breaks loose. Dragged on by TJ Ryan, the captain. Stymied. Comes back out again as far as Jerry O'Connor. Quite a tussle. Gets it away. Shows alacrity. Gets it forward to Niall McCarthy on his left-hand side. Beyond Joe Dean, however, taken by Damien Rail. Into the second minute of stoppage time. Out over the sideline under ferocious pressure there from Joe Dean.
Sheriff Cork hold on here. I think they'll try to defend Ben O'Connor's performance. We were saying about his fitness here and there. He's after getting 2 unbelievable scores. Really moved out the field here now towards the end of the game, and he's the man that will thank him to hang on here today, along with maybe Ronan Curran at centre back.
And that's the way to put it, I think. Hanging on at this stage. Limerick trying to snatch it from them. Mike O'Brien. Great ball in here to Tobin. Couldn't get the stick to it, but it's O'Shaughnessy. Will he become the hero? Comes out again here. Mark Keane now. And that's over the bar. 18-17. Mark Keane. Another score for Limerick. His first since coming on as a sub. We're in the final minute into the 73rd. What drama in Semple Stadium. First of the Guinness quarter-finals. Second one to come very shortly. 6 o'clock. It's due to start between Galway and Kilkenny. It bounces around awkwardly in there. Comes back to Niall McCarthy. His team ahead by a point. They're looking for something extra. He's got it! Niall McCarthy has hit over his second. A crucial score. 30 seconds to go, and it's 19-17. All the way down towards the half-forward line of Limerick, and they have it again with Mike O'Brien. Now they need a goal. O'Brien hitting it high, and that's over the bar. It's his second. Not quite enough yet, but there's still a few seconds to play. 19-18.
And what a second half Mike O'Brien has had.
Limerick had 6 scores on the board at half-time. They've put over 12 in the second so far. Cork have put over 8. It's been Limerick's half after Cork's first half. But where's the victory to go? The final whistle, and the champions are still the champions. They're in the semi-final. They'd be put to the pin of their collar to win a 12th consecutive match in the championship, dating back to 2004. But Joe Dean's team have done it. Dean himself with 5 scores. Cork created 34 scoring chances to Limerick's 24. What a tussle it has been in the home of hurling, Semple Stadium. Only one between them at the end. 73 minutes of exciting action in the second half. Limerick gave as good as they were getting earlier on. and Cork just about make it through.
They did, Ger, and I think tomorrow Limerick will deservedly get huge accolades for the way they played, especially in the second half, once they believed in themselves. But at the end of the day, Cork also deserve huge credit. They looked to me with 10 minutes to go that they were gone. They were under serious pressure. Limerick had really rattled them, and yet Ben O'Connor there, we see him in the picture, and really in particular, along with Ronan Curran and a few more of them, but Ben O'Connor stood up and was counted. Niall McCarthy again with the last score to really seal it, but Cork showed again why they're champions. They're living a very, very dangerous life this year. They're just doing enough to get through these games, and that is some test that they got today. And all credit to Limerick, Richie Bennis and Gary Kirby, what a job they've done in a short few weeks that they've gone in there to take them over, and well done to them. But Cork, congratulations again on holding out and showing why they are All-Ireland champions.
Gary Kirby there exchanging congratulations to Donald O'Cusack. Brian Murray, part of the Limerick team, beaten today. Final score, Cork 19 points, Limerick 18. Cork are in the semis.
The R&D, Ger Kenny, your commentator there. Michael Dignan will be hearing from a little bit later on again. Ger Loughnane, Cyril Farrell here with me in studio. Credit to both teams, gentlemen, there, I suppose. Credit to Limerick for the battle they put on. As we said, they should just give it a lash in the second half. But the champions are still the champions.
Fantastic second half, and again Cork are still champions, but Limerick will take credit. Came back, put them to the pin of the collar. Ben O'Connor still got up and took a great point. When Limerick analysed this game, it's the few minutes before half time, the 5 or 6 minutes before half time when they're 11, and the next thing they're down 5.
Yeah,
that was that little break there that gave Cork to the way. Now in the second half, Mike O'Brien played out of his skin. Niall Moran, they'll be wondering how come he wasn't on all year. Tobin comes on full forward. These guys threw caution to the wind, and eventually Cork seemed to be cruising for it, and eventually broke down Cork and came right at them. And Cork will be the first to admit that they were put to the pin of the collar, but they are champions, and they're good champions. Stuck at it, missed a few frees when they were 5 or 6 up, missed a few frees that you usually wouldn't, and yet when the chips are down, the likes of Ben and these has stood up, and that's why they're champions.
Okay, folks, man of the match from that game then. There was so many heroes on both sides. Ben O'Connor, though, as Michael Dignan said there in the commentary, what a performance he put on. He's talking to us now.
Thank you very much indeed, Michael. In the background, we see Galway going out, but there's a delighted Cork team and a very relieved Cork team have just come in. And Ben O'Connor, many congratulations to you. You are the RT Sports Saturday game man of the match. And Ben, is it fair to say that you are as relieved as you are pleased?
Yeah, I suppose, Jim. We knew coming up that we were in for a very tough battle, and I suppose during the week people were saying Limerick were coming up no hope, but Limerick had nothing to lose coming up here. They were coming in as raging underdogs, and they just said they're going to have one crack off us, and that's what they did. And we're just delighted to have the point, I think, in the end there ahead. Could have gone anywhere, I suppose. Maybe a draw might have been a fair result, but we're delighted with the win.
Yes, Ben, I think one of the big stories from here will be pride restored for Limerick, but we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that it was a test of character for Cork too in the last 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, I suppose the pride is back in Limerick hurling, but I suppose when Limerick got 3 or 4 points in the trot and they were back to a point, I suppose the pressure came on us then, and thankfully we were able to stand up and drive on from there. We got a couple of scores right to the end, but we're just delighted with it.
Just a word on your injury finally, Ben, because your speed seemed that little bit sharper today. Obviously you're coming good injury-wise.
Yeah, I suppose up until the Munster final I had the whole pile of training done, but I have a couple of tough weeks in under my belt since then, and thankfully things are working out at the moment now, so hopefully we'll be able to keep going that way.
Yeah, well, it's great to see you back, Ben, and always a pleasure to see you, and we congratulate you and present you with your Man of the Match award. Well done to you, Ben. Congratulations. Congratulations. And with that...
Yeah, 6 points today for Ben